welcome back to another episode of Sidelines. And I'm telling you right now, we have some breaking news. College Football Committee, new ranking coming out just earlier today. Actually, earlier within the hour. That's coming on this episode as well. The Dolphins, España trip, full success. So, first ever winning streak for the Dolphins. And of course, in the NFL, is Bo Nix serious? Are the Chiefs seriously not even going to be a contender this year? That and more. And honestly, this is going to be a fun one too. We got Blake coming in as well on this new episode of Sideline. Welcome, everybody, to the Sidelines again. I am joined by no other than Blake Korn, myself, Brent Hernandez. Blake, we talked a lot of football yesterday, man, but I'm pretty sure you saw the big news about an hour ago.
Yeah. I saw the CFP rankings. It's kind of what we expected from yesterday, if I'm being honest, Brandon, from what we talked about yesterday. It's everything we expected.
Yep.
I'll be honest, if you're University of Miami looking into it, I think you kind of knew this is where it was going to be. You're in the ranking, you're 13th. In the playoff, you're 11th. So you don't have a home game either. But what you do, the issue that you're looking at it is basically, if like Georgia Tech wins the ACC, you're probably not in the playoff.
Yeah, and again, there's a lot of hypotheticals with that too. But yes, the biggest news, at least in South Florida terms, the Miami Hurricanes moved 2 spots. And the biggest thing about it, they moved 2 spots. Georgia Tech moving down a spot in his recent college football committee. So it really tells you what the Canes win over NC State really did for them in the rankings. And also, I just want to go through the rankings really quick because there are some outliers as well outside of the Canes piece about this one. But look at Arizona State back in it at 25. Tulane finally making an appearance in this one.
Shout out Tulane.
Again, South Florida losing to Navy. That big upset. That probably put the Bulls out of the college football playoffs. And James Madison, I guess they didn't like James Madison enough. So Tulane takes up that spot.
I thought that was interesting because
I really thought
CFP and AP are really, like, as much as we hate it, they're pretty close. It's not very often that, 20 or 22 isn't on CFB and they're on the AP. If I'm not mistaken, James Madison was 22?
Yeah, 22.
Like that's an interesting swap for me, but hey, good for Tulane.
Huge for Tulane. Again, Tulane potentially making it out of the group of 4. Houston at 23, 22 Mizzou, and Illinois at 21. This was an Illinois team that was ranked very high to open up the year. Somehow they've been kind of inching in the last and few on their Big Ten conference gameplay. Tennessee at 20, Virginia at 19, Michigan at 18. Those have not switched compared to the AP poll, including that of Texas at 17. So Texas has officially fallen out of the top 15. Georgia Tech at 16. Southern Cal, and I think this is more of a sleeper, if anything, Blake. The Trojans of USC, not the Gamecocks, but the Trojans, they somehow make it within the top 15, and the chance to beat Oregon. And that's going to be a primetime 3:30, kind of a big kickoff game for Fox. If they win that one, I honestly, if you're the committee, you might have to put them over Miami.
Yeah, no, you have to, because it's a bigger, because here's the thing, right? Miami has the 3 games against ranked opponents at that time. But there's not a bigger, really head-to-head win from someone that's not in the top 10 against someone in the top 10 than USC beating Oregon. That would be the biggest one of the year, I think. Yep. Because I still don't think Notre Dame's all that good. I think Michigan's in a sweet spot still. We talked about it yesterday. Like, they hold their own destiny. Holding their own destiny means you have to beat Ohio State, but if you beat Ohio State, you're in even from 18. So am I shocked by anything I'm seeing? Because I have the ranking in front of me, not the actual bracket, because the bracket's different from the ranking because UM's in on the bracket.
Yeah.
Alabama at 10. I mean, they're basically the top 10 is strikingly similar. Texas Tech and Oregon were tied in the AP rankings on votes, but they jump Ole Miss. They're still above Ole Miss college football rankings. I find that interesting. I don't think a Big 12 team is better than any SEC team personally, but
Yeah,
you
and
know,
again,
that's
the Raiders
focused.
playing good though. I would say Texas
Yeah.
Tech might be one of the better teams out of the Big Ten or SEC. Like out of any of the conferences that excluding those two, Texas Tech may be the one that take the cake. They might even be better than the Canes, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't think that I'll be honest. We talked about it, Brandon. We tried to bring Jonka to slow down on his takes with it, but I don't. The Canes can't go anywhere with Carson Beck at quarterback. But I still think as a whole they're a better team than a lot of the ones that we're looking at here. Like, do you think on like we talk about like on Miami's day, can they beat a team like a Georgia? I think honestly we're starting to see cracks in A&M. Probably, but then if you get pressure on Carson Beck, it's gone. Like you're not going to do anything. But
yeah, and again, the big part about the committee, from what they tell ESPN, the consistency of the offense for Miami. How long can they be consistent, and for how long can they hold that against good competition?
Yeah.
Also, on top of your point, though, I think one of the biggest thing too, Vanderbilt on a bye week, moving down a spot.
Yeah.
So
It's
Vanderbilt.
not a good look for Vandy.
It's not a good look for Vanderbilt because you don't do anything and somehow you lose. You know what I mean? Like somehow this was a loser week for the Vanderbilt Commodores, who in SEC play obviously can't win the conference. Obviously is a great team in their own right, top 15 team, AP plus in college football committee, but still not the best top 3 team in the SEC. One of my biggest, actually really the biggest thing that I don't think a lot of people talk about is Utah and BYU. Neck and neck. The Holy Wars trilogy goes even deeper than that. It goes into seeding. 12 Utah, BYU at 11. Honestly, whoever loses within the top 10 ranks in the next few days, maybe BYU or Utah be able to take over their spot. And I'm not saying they'll be like getting, Fiesta Bowl bound or whatever. But maybe they host a bowl game, or rather host a playoff game in the first round if someone loses. And that being said, we talked about earlier Bama losing against Oklahoma, very humiliating fashion at home for the Crimson Tide. They dropped down to 10. Notre Dame not even moving an inch despite having a blowout victory over a ranked opponent in Pitt. Oklahoma up to 8. John Mateer may be back. I'm not saying he looks the same since before his surgery on his thumb, but he may be back.
Yeah, Jonka's gone real quiet about that take.
You said who's got real quiet?
Jonka's gone real quiet about that.
Oh, about the John Mateer stuff?
Yeah, the John Mateer is going to be the number 1 pick. You said to me after a podcast, and I said, "Brother, you need to watch out."
Yeah. Again, there was a lot. Hey, I was on that train too, man. I was on that.
You were on it too, but you weren't doing some of the things he was doing. I mean,
oh no, yeah, no, I wasn't talking about NFL draft yet. That would be a cool 5th round pick, though. That would be a pretty cool 5th round pick.
I view it as like a Quinn Ewers kind of pick, where it's like there is upside to it. But
yeah, I would say he's better than Ewers, though.
Yeah,
like
but Quinn Ewers, when you come out as like number 1 in the class, like you have to have some upside for people to think you're the number 1 player in the class.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I just pulled up the actual playoff bracket. I'll be honest. If it ended today, this would be such a fun bracket. Ohio State at 1 gets a bye. Indiana at 2 gets a bye. A&M at 3 gets a bye. Georgia at 4 gets a bye. So those are your byes. Oklahoma, Notre Dame. Winner of that would play Ohio State. That's a fun game. Texas Tech against Tulane would then play Georgia. I mean, I think we could both agree Texas Tech would win that by a mile. But then Texas Tech, Georgia would be a lot of fun. Ole Miss, Miami, I think would be a fun game. They go against A&M, who's starting to show some weaknesses, so there could be an upset there. And then I think this is the best game, Oregon, Bama. That's a fun first round.
That would be a primetime game. And again, with that being said, to quickly go through the top 6. Ole Miss at 6, Texas Tech at 5, Georgia at 4, Texas A&M at 3, Indiana, Ohio State. They do not change at all, 1 and 2. But again, let's talk about the bracket, though, since we're on it. This is, funny enough, similar to last week for the Hurricanes, specifically their storyline. They have not really moved at all. Still 11-seeded UM team, really the last team best at large team outside of that really group of 4 team, which is now Tulane, who would hypothetically go on the road to take on Texas Tech. The Canes and Ole Miss, I'm not saying that it's an easy one for Miami, but instead of going on the road to play in Otzman Stadium against Oregon, instead of going on the road to play against Oklahoma, I truly do believe this might be the best bracket for the Hurricanes.
Oh, it's easily the best bracket for the Canes.
Easily the best bracket.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to. Ideally, you wouldn't have to see Ohio State until you get to a national championship. You wouldn't have to see Indiana at all until you get to a semifinal. And in this case as well, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and the Texas Tech Raiders would literally be in a dogfight to get to the national championship. And Miami's main concern, Texas A&M, and also because I know you talked about how fun it would be for Oregon and Alabama. What about the gauntlet those teams has to go on that side of the bracket if it ended today? I mean, Indiana would have to face either Oregon, which they played earlier in the year, or have to go against Alabama in a neutral site bowl game.
And then if let's say they win that game, and then you have to go against a gauntlet of either A&M, Ole Miss, or Miami, who are three really good programs. I mean, here's the thing is, if you're on the bottom of this bracket, which is Ole Miss, UM, Oregon, Alabama, A&M, Indiana, that's where you want to be, because I think we can both assume and say the odds are the semifinal on that top side of the bracket is going to be Ohio State, Georgia. Jesus, I wouldn't want to be playing in that game for a semifinal. Oh my God. It just sounds like a bloodbath.
Not even that. That might be like the hardest opponent that Ohio State would play all year.
Easily.
You know,
the only thing that scares me for Ohio State is, because I do think they'd beat Georgia, is you come off such a high if you beat Georgia. Do you show up to par in the championship game? We've seen it in college, like especially before the playoff and the bowl series. Like you dominate. The number 2 team won so many times in the bowl series because number 1 would go. It was usually an SEC team, especially towards the end of it, would be in a bloodbath for their SEC title game, and then go to the championship, and a Big Ten team would grab them, or a Pac-12. Yeah. This stuff's great, by the way. If you guys don't buy this stuff's great. Oh my God!
What is that, Simply?
Yeah, it's simply fruit punch. Oh my God!
The juices you have to go by order though, and again, we're Floridians here. It's Simply, the Publix brand, and then you got to go to the Hawaiian Punch after that. But the Hawaiian Punch, where it's in bulk, you
have to get the giant one.
Yeah, the ones that you can carry only on your shoulders. Those are the Hawaiian Punches you got to go for. No other type of
the good ones.
Oh my God!
Good ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more of an Arizona iced tea guy though. That's the issue though.
Yeah. Oh, I love fruit punch Arizona too. So Brandon, let me ask you, because this is your show. So I think people care about hearing your answers more than my answers. In all honesty, if you had to pick if you had to pick what's going to happen in the tournament right now, I wish I set up something for like a board so you can just drag everything so you can pick your playoffs. But let's say what do you think the semifinal is going to be? Who's in the final, and who wins the college football playoff?
And this is simply looking
just
at
right now. Yeah, just right now.
Well, actually, let's go through the first round first. I think honestly there will be an upset, and I hate to say it, but I think Notre Dame would beat out Oklahoma on the road.
I agree.
Go on to have a rematch, basically against Ohio State. Probably get dogged around, mollywopped around, and that's gonna be probably in a really disgusting way that might just be the Fiesta Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know exactly what the bowl alignments are. I don't know where the Orange Bowl is this year. I don't know exactly all that. I think the Orange Bowl is going to be in January though, from what I know of. So that might be I think
the Orange Bowl is the top bracket semifinal.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big semifinal, which I think Ohio's prepared to play in. But I just hate the idea that not a lot of people look at the Texas Tech Raiders and say that they don't have a potential Heisman quarterback. They don't have a good enough offense to beat a Georgia or get out of their way to potentially contend for a national championship. I think as of right now, Texas Tech has a lot of tools to beat Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And as of today, I'm probably going to go out of my way and say as a 5 seed, taking on a 4 seed, real close. If this game's not in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I think Texas Tech honestly might be Georgia. And I would hate to see that because I want to see Georgia, Ohio State, but I think Texas Tech
come on now.
has enough tools.
Brandon, this is Sideline. We don't do mites. We don't do if, buts, or maybes. We go.
You're right.
We
You're right. It is a guarantee that if it stands as today, the Texas Tech Raiders, I'm going to write that, go on to the semifinal. Semifinal Texas Tech. And
I
then
think that's a really good thing to hear, Brandon, if I'm going to be honest with you, because I think the big issue we had, especially with the start of this playoff back a few years ago, was, but it's usually the top 4 teams or top 3 teams are clear of like 7 and 8. Like, it's not even close. Been hearing, like, I know it's a 4 or 5, but a program like Texas Tech that really, they're only really known for the last decade because Patrick Mahomes was their quarterback and Baker Mayfield left after being a walk-on, is, they're a top 5 team in the country, and they probably can beat one of the best programs we've seen in the last decade. So that'd be awesome if that happened.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about their win over BYU. A lot of people before that game were saying, this is the biggest game in program history. It felt like a regular Saturday. Like, they blew BYU. The Cougars had no chance throughout an entire first half, let alone an entire quarter, any possession. So this is a proven Texas Tech Raiders team. I think, honestly, they would go on to take on Georgia, Notre Dame against Ohio State. The Hurricanes, I think what's going on in Ole Miss right now, and we talk about it as like a beaten drum, Lane Kiffin and his time there and the tensions in the program, if it's not now, it's never. It might never happen for them to make it and win a championship, which, again, I think the last championship they had was in the 50s, and they shared it with Minnesota, I think. But for Lane Kiffin, I think there's too much going on. Cristobal and the entire offense, especially with Carson Beck, we talked about, they be consistent. What would things look like? They're dealing with injuries on their own end, especially the defensive secondary with Scott. I like the Canes coming with a clear head and clear mindset that we got to dominate, that they get back to that. And they've been like that since their most recent loss to SMU. So they've been blowing teams out. Again, we'll have to win out, hypothetically, to keep this ranking.
Yeah.
They won't get anywhere close to a top 10 seed. They will be stuck at 11, but I think that's good enough for them. I think they beat Ole Miss. Texas A&M will probably eat them alive. I love Texas A&M. They should win the SEC this year. They're going to win the SEC this year. And for Bama, Oregon, I mean, this is Nate Moore versus Ty Simpson. This is really whoever is going to be winning the Heisman is playing in this game, and if not, the game after. So
it's so good.
It's so good. Love Dan Lanning. I think Bama's defense will get the job done. As long as there's no offensive miscues that we saw in the Oklahoma game. Alabama should win that one. The Indiana game, the Cignetti special, I think Indiana wins by 2 touchdowns in that one. Texas A&M versus Indiana, I think that's where the Hoosiers stop on their horses. Texas A&M going on to the final. Texas Tech and Ohio State. The Cinderella story ends here. Ohio State wins it. And we're going to have probably a rematch of the Big Ten championship, basically, we're going to see in a few weeks in the national championship game. That's what I think. I think it's going to be a rematch. And in Miami, a Miami-born native quarterback is going to win a championship. No, actually, my apologies. I'm thinking about Indiana for a second. Scratch that. Texas Tech wins a championship. Reed and Elko and the boys of the 12th man.
Whoa. So you're scratching your Ohio State to the championship, putting Texas Tech in the championship.
No.
They're going to beat Indiana?
I'm scratching the Indiana part because I nearly said Mendoza wins at one in Miami. Then again, that storyline too would be insane to see Mendoza win one down here.
Yeah.
That would be insane. And it could happen easily. But no, I think Texas Tech, I think the firepower that they have, they've been fine throughout the year. The Gamecock game, I think a lot of people will say like there's a lot of holes in the defense. The offense may not be. Well, I'll tell you what, the offense nearly came back down 30 in a quarter. Right? They didn't waver. They didn't flinch. Elko got a contract extension through 2031 right after that game. And not a booster blinked when he signed. He was like, we were down 30 at the half earlier today. I couldn't tell you. I didn't realize. That's how confident this team is. That's how confident I am in Texas A&M to win the whole damn thing. And one thing, because I know a lot of people are going to say that, well, Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith saying, and the rest of the cast of the first round future NFL draft picks in Ohio State.
Jeremiah Smith, South Florida boy.
Another South Florida kid. You know, again, South Florida, you'll find a South Florida kid in every single team of this rep. It's ridiculous. But I'm telling you, I think from Ohio State, the closest game they had was against an SEC opponent in Texas week 1. And Texas, from what we've seen, has not been that team at all since week 1. Talk about lost Ohio State, getting embarrassed, especially with an offside kick against Georgia recently. The Florida game, we all saw what happened in Gainesville for the Longhorns and Sark. If you're trying to tell me your hardest matchup was that, because besides Texas, what other in-conference game have they played that was like an eye-opener for the committee? What other game?
Can I be honest with you? I'm looking at it. It's been dominance. Like, there hasn't been a real tight one. I remember, you'll probably remember this early in this season when Ohio was beating Ohio State through like a quarter and a half. That was fun. But I'll be honest, they've just been ramming through teams. UCLA, they won 48-10. Purdue, 34-10. Penn State, 38-14. Wisconsin, 34-0. Ohio State, 34. Illinois, 34-16. Minnesota, 42-3. Like, it's been running people over. They got Rutgers coming up at the end of this week, and then Michigan after that. But this is what I think scary for Ohio State is. But at the real time, it's not scary because as long as you're in the top 4, you get a bye.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, what I'm trying to make is they only have one ranked opponent win all year. It was a 21 ranked Illinois team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then of course Texas, who was number 1 at the time. Either way, I'm telling you right now, big mistake. They're blowing teams out. They're doing what they should be doing. But this is let's say last year, the Hurricanes, right? Or even this year, the Hurricanes. Let's say the Hurricanes were undefeated at this point in time currently today. They don't lose against Louisville, and they don't lose against SMU.
Let's just say they lose to Louisville, but they don't lose to SMU, and they do their job. I mean,
Miami's at what I'm saying is it would be the exact same scenario where you're the committee, and let's say the Canes don't lose those games, and you're like, well, the Canes have got themselves multiple top 25 wins. Ohio State only has 1. Why don't we put the Canes on top of Ohio State? You know? Look at Indiana's schedule. Indiana has a harder schedule than Ohio State throughout the year.
Yeah.
You look at Texas A&M. Texas A&M undefeated through SEC play, and I understand the idea of, they haven't played anybody. Like, they haven't played a Bama. They haven't played they're playing SEC opponents. They're not playing Rutgers. They're not playing New Jersey football, okay? They are beating good teams. Ohio State has yet to beat a team where I'm like, wow, that was a must-win. And a lot of people talk about the Michigan game. I think the Michigan game, they always sit up at the end of the year because now, again, it's the big game. But it's also going to be that kind of like that stepping stone going into postseason play. You know, how real is Ohio State? How real can they be against contending opponents? I don't believe that they got it. I mean, again, they will make it to the national championship, no doubt in my mind. But when they face against a Texas A&M team, that's when the lights will go out. That's when I think it's going to get disgusting.
Yeah. No, because, you bringing up the Miami thing, so I was just like, let me go look at the schedule and what they've done and see if, I can give that any credit. I mean, you beat, at the time, number 6 Notre Dame. You Cookman. You beat number 18 South Florida, who was, the story of the season through 2.5-3 weeks at that time. You take care of business against Florida. You dominated Florida State through 3 quarters. But then you have the shock to Louisville. But let's say you win that the way you're supposed to. Canes win it 32-17. You beat Stanford. Let's say you handle SMU the way you're supposed to. Let's say you win 28-20. And then Syracuse 38-10, NC State 41-7. I mean, they're 6-0 in conference. They're 10-0 overall. 3 ranked wins. Florida
State was ranked at the time.
Yeah, they were 18th.
South Florida ranked at the time.
No, they were 13th. USF was 18th, and Notre Dame was 6th when Miami played all of them.
Yes. So we're talking about multiple ranked wins, and let's say hypothetically undefeated. So you would have put that team over Ohio State. I don't think the committee has the ball.
Wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
Exactly. They don't have the balls to do so. So that's why I'm not saying that Ohio State are frauds, but I feel like they got a lot of tint on their windshield right now. Not a lot of people can see inside them because no one that knows what the hell is going on in the program that's beating out easy competition. No one knows what's going on.
I think what's going to happen is this Michigan game is going to tell us a lot about how this playoff is going to go. Even if Ohio State wins, I'm a big advocate in the NFL of just because it's a rivalry game, a team could be 12-0 in the NFL and play a 1-11 team, but it's a rivalry game. You never know what's going to happen. In college football, I do think it's different. Even if it's a rivalry game, I think if you're just better, you're going to win 90% of the time. That's why upsets are so crazy in college football. Yeah, but
it's a better brand.
If Ohio State comes out and they win the game, right? They're like, all right, we got the win, but it's like 21, like 17, and they just got it done. Like they made a goal line stop on Michigan to end the game. Do we look at them as like, yeah, they're better than Indiana? I think they lose out to Indiana if it's not a big win against Michigan. Yeah. Shout out Miami Dolphin lover because that guy Fabian yesterday said I wasn't reading chat. So shout out Miami Dolphin lover.
Dude, the Fabian guy's gonna be brought up every single week. I can tell now.
I hate Fabian. No, but I don't even think they'd have the guts to do it then. I think there's so much money in college football that certain programs, their AP and the college football committee are going to do everything they can to get certain teams in. Indiana's winning the Big Ten. Ohio State ain't winning. I pray to God that's the case. Yeah. I do want to put this out there though, because this is actually something that was asked by Reese Davis earlier on the ESPN broadcast for the top 25 college football poll. He talked specifically about the first question towards one of the playoff chairs, Notre Dame and Miami being compared side by side. According to the specific chairman, unfortunately, I can't pronounce the last name, but first name Hunter Chair, we really compare the losses of those two teams, followed by we really haven't compared those two teams. They haven't been in similar comparative pools to date, but Miami is creeping up in that range where they will be compared to Notre Dame if something happens above them. So with that being said, and what I'm kind of like already seeing from that comment, they haven't compared the Notre Dame Miami stuff because of recent competition and things like that. But what's going on, what we saw with the Texas and Georgia game, what we saw going on with Oklahoma, Bama, that's when you say that these teams are dropping. How can Miami move up and how far up? And that's what we saw. They moved up 2 spots. Georgia Tech moved down a little bit to give them more room for that. And then Bama, I'm thinking to myself, let's say Oregon loses against Southern Cal. I think the committee's going to be like, well, we're going to have to move Miami up again. We can't move Notre Dame, though. I think that's when officially we can see Miami move by next week. That's interesting. Yeah. I thought you were going to say if Oregon loses, that's when you can put Miami up with them. And I was just like, that seems.
Well, I want to put them at 7. I want to put them at 7. But maybe above Notre Dame. Yeah.
The one thing I hate about college football, and I think college football is so great, but it gets tainted by this, is losses mean nothing in the first week.
Yeah.
If you lose week 1, it means nothing. But if you lose how many weeks are in college football season? 15, I think, technically. Like, if you lose week 15, your season's over. Because, like, if we go look at Texas and we go, even if, like, Georgia wasn't on that schedule and it's, like, some filler team instead of Georgia that we know Texas would have beat, if Texas just won the rest of their games, they would have gotten to the playoffs healthily.
Yeah.
Because they lost 2 games in the first 5 weeks, but they did it early in the season. If, like, Notre Dame lost 2 games in the first 3 weeks of the season, and they did this last year, and Notre Dame was in the top. They finished like 6, no? Like
basically, yeah.
Like I think what happened, what the issue with college football is, we forget what happened 8 weeks ago, and that taints what actually happens. Like remember when Florida State, because Jordan Travis got injured, and Florida State fans were losing it, we should be in the playoff. No, that's an outlier. Your quarterback got injured. We saw you in a bowl game, and you were terrible.
Yeah,
That's
and mind you, barely even survived the rest of their season without Jordan Travis.
Correct.
That season.
And so, but then I go look at last year. I wasn't with you guys yet, but I was telling everyone, Miami sucks. They're not good. Cam Ward is doing so much heavy lifting for this team. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, you go look at the college football playoff and you go, Miami probably has a better chance of winning the first round than this team or that team. Like, just because
like Tennessee making it last year was crazy.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, Miami's offense wins that game alone against Tennessee last year. They'll figure it out, but then they lose in the next round. But it's just, you look at it and you go, are we actually putting in? I'm not gonna say the 12 best teams because Tulane or James Madison's gonna be in it, and they're damn sure not one of the 12 best teams. But they need to give flowers to outside of the Power Four, which they should. That team should get the flowers. I think it should be James Madison, but that's neither here nor there.
Shout out 2017 UCF, the true national champions.
Go Knights.
Go Knights.
Do you think we'll ever get a playoff where we actually go and look? We go like, we have the 11 best teams in college football in this playoff all at once? Because I don't think we will.
Well, we're getting there. I think we're getting there, though. I mean, again, the Tulane thing.
That's why I said 11, not 12. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can't even talk about the Tulane thing, but I think we're getting there. Like, if you told me straight up that, we're going to have a playoff where Alabama and Oregon are in the first round, I would have lost my mind 5 years ago. You know what I mean? I mean, these are great programs. These are great teams overall.
Like Utah is better than Notre Dame this year. They are. You can't change my mind. If they played head-to-head at a neutral site, Utah beats Notre Dame.
You know what? I would put BYU over Notre Dame. Utah, I'm on the fence on Utah, but that's a different story. Story.
You just said you're on the fence about Utah. If we look at the AP, because the AP, we can see the voting numbers. That's the difference between the college football. You can actually see what these voters, how close they think it is. Utah's not even close to Notre Dame.
Yeah, which is
like
insane.
They're multiple 100 points off. I mean, if you guys don't know how the voting works for the AP, like 100 points is basically like 3 voters. Like, let's say Vanderbilt higher than Miami, they would have jumped Miami, right? Like 3-4 voters. But once you get to like a 350 point gap is like, that's eight or 9 people out of, I think there's 50 that do the AP votes, and they do the point system. I could be wrong about the number of people that do it, but that's the point system. It's terrible that we think Notre Dame is clearly better than some of these teams, and there's nothing that proves it. You know why? Yeah. It's because Notre Dame's such a big brand. They're the Dallas Cowboys of college football because they're such their own brand. They don't need a conference. That's why Notre Dame isn't in a conference. They'll lose money by joining the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC.
And the competition-wise, like, you want to be able to have opportunity against SEC teams, or like how they had against Pitt at the end of the year. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or like it's kind of one of those situations. And again, we talk about Utah, BYU. Miami taking up a spot as a 13-seeded team. Notre Dame taking up a spot, which, again, we both can agree. I don't think Notre Dame is better than some of those other teams. And mind you, BYU, a one-loss team at the moment. It's psychologically, it messes you up. It messes you up. Team. And, and also I would say this as well, because, again, shout out to Miami Dolphins lover over here, Georgia Tech. Winning the ACC over Miami, I would probably say so just because Georgia Tech has probably the better chance to even get to the ACC. I think the Hurricanes are going to be taking a few. They have a better chance of making the playoffs.
Oh, we have a little – hey, Daniel – I mean, not Daniel, sorry, Brandon. I apologize because the gentleman who wrote this article I'm looking for is named Daniel. We have a little typo in an article here for the Sporting News website. We're talking about BYU 8-2 on the article. Yeah, get him fined.
Yeah, get him fined, please.
Oh, it says one of them says 8-2 and one of them says 9-2. Wow. Yeah, get him fined off the team. Give him the Jamar Chase treatment.
It's a crazy shade. And again, it is a football. But speaking of, because again, we're going to leave the college football talk here. Again, the Hurricanes moving up 2 spots in the college football committee's recent polling earlier this afternoon, or evening rather. I was going to the late night. We appreciate you guys joining us past 10 o'clock. Was going to the NFL side of things. We talked a little bit about our main podcast yesterday for Plug Talk Sports, but We got to talk a little about Dolphins though, Blake. Talk a little about Dolphins. Obviously, we talked about yesterday about winning the game in Spain, 2-game winning streak. You're moving on to basically better, brighter things after the bye week. One thing I thought was really interesting though from Mike McDaniels, talking to the media earlier today, it was kind of like the emphasis of, the run game has gotten better. The O-line,
Yes.
this O-line has been together for the past, 5 games now, and it's a young O-line. Patrick Paul, Jonah's obviously there. He's slowly progressed himself. I think we're at that part of the season where we can talk about Pro Bowlers now, because we talked about the
Paul's
Dolphins.
name should be in that hat.
You said who?
Patrick Paul, the left tackle. He's the only O-lineman throughout the whole year that you can look at on that Miami Dolphins O-line and go, he's been a rock. You know what you're getting out of him every week.
Damn, but okay, honestly, that's a great question too. When was the last time the Dolphins had a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, and not like a Torrin Armstead where he's been a Pro Bowler and he joins the team, but a active Dolphin player O-line? I can't give you a name or a first name.
I think it probably, I don't know if he's made a Pro Bowl. It'd probably be Robert Hunt.
Yeah, that actually, you might be right about that. To be real,
but here's the thing: is that's a standout, like a standalone year, really. When you go look at these other teams that you go, oh, they because here's the thing: is Chris Greer being gone now. Chris Greer has said he's tried to build an O-line early in his stay at the Dolphins. That was one of the things when he first came here. He wanted to build an O-line and then had skill around it. He did a terrible job, but then you go look at these other teams like the Cowboys and the Eagles. No matter what, they have 2 Pro Bowl O-linemen. It's always go look at the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady clips when the players wore their helmets to the Pro Bowl. None of this. You wear a black jersey with neon stripes on it. You'll see a lot of stars and a lot of birds on that O-line. I think what you're seeing right now from the Dolphins is you're seeing guys that trust each other up front. When you play O-line, you're blocking. If we're doing a double team on this D tackle to try and build to the linebacker, I have to trust and know exactly when you're going to leave my block, so I know when to take over. And I think you're starting to see that. One thing that I think's been happening very well is Mike McDaniel's been bringing he's been actually bringing in some power runs with Ollie Gordon. And what you're seeing him go, let's start doing some trap blocks. If you don't know what a trap block is, it's basically you take one of your guards and you kind of pull him behind the center and you let the other guard go to the O-lineman, and the guard that you pulled behind the center just takes out the defensive tackle. That's what a trap block is. It's different when a tight end does it or a tackle does it. They're different called. But a trap block's one of the most effective blocks you can do for a halfback power. You're starting to see it. He tried to do it early in the year and it never worked. He couldn't get to work. The last 3 weeks, it's coming. You're seeing it work. It's happening. Ollie Gordon broke off a 15-yard run doing it off of power, and he was able to bounce the outside. Devon Achane against the Bills, his first touchdown was off of power. He was able to take the back cut and go. I think you're basically just seeing for the Dolphins, they're actually pretty healthy. The one thing the Dolphins have been getting killed with the last couple of years, we have a lot of injuries early in this season, and there's those guys are still out, but it's this group of 22 guys that are on the field have basically played with each other the entire year. They've been there the entire year. They know what each other's going to do now for a lot of it. What's been killing the Dolphins is the last, especially 2 years, I'd say, is that you're getting injuries in week 9 and they're out to week 13 or 14. Then they come back, but then someone else that they played with got injured. So, your linebacking core is all mixed up. You're maybe missing one corner, but, we're down 3 DBs, but I hate Jack Jones, but that was an awesome interception to end the game for us. Not yesterday, but against on Sunday morning against the Commanders. But sorry, I was about to say the old team name because that's all I know him as. But I don't want to get canceled personally. But
all right. But we got it. The team out of DC. The team out of DC.
Yeah, the team that's going to name their next stadium after Trump.
Apparently.
I feel like we're just seeing everyone's coming together. It's they believe in each other. They might not believe in McDaniel. They might not believe in the owner getting a good GM. They might not believe in the culture but they believe in each other now.
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins lover. I'm gonna assume you watch Dolphins games, so you can back most of what I'm saying now. He's saying A-Chain carries the team and all of our corners are hurt. That's completely true. I think what's helped A-Chain a lot is that Ollie Gordon's now able to take some snaps off of him. And that might sound ridiculous that how is he going to be better with someone taking snaps away from him? Well, it gives him a chance to rest for a minute because last year I think what hurt A-Chain through some of the years, he was getting 60 snaps a game.
Oh, he's 56.
It was insane. And now it's all right. Now he's going from he's getting 95% of the carries. Now he's down to 75. But then that means in those 75% of carries he's getting, he's a little bit more explosive. He can cut a little bit more. He's willing to go into someone more. Last year you saw he wasn't willing to fight for 2 yards. He might get the half yard, not 2 yards. This year he's fighting for the 2 yards, especially in these last couple of weeks. I think the worst thing that can happen to the Dolphins is if they get lucky somehow, because sadly, based on the numbers, we're technically not out of the playoffs. Because if you win out, you can make the playoffs.
The Browns are also not out of the playoffs. We can't just be looking. I would say that when you look at the overall playoff picture, there is still there for the Dolphins. But what happens with Baltimore, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. You can go.
Yeah, because I know we talked about percentages the other day. Baltimore right now with a 50 or so % chance to make it. Dolphins with 1% chance, and also again Dolphin lover back at it again. HN is fast, small one. Ollie's big and strong. That's also another thing where I seen from the Bills game, even the Bills game earlier on the road, and also in this game in Spain. Ollie Gordon being used at the 1 first and goal, whether they're 10 yards out. He gets you in opportunities where you have a power back that can really push and speed down the field. I mean, for example, we saw the Dolphins were at their own 1 yard line, and he goes on for a 20-yard run, and it's just bulldozing and powering through, going towards the sideline. We've seen Ollie Gordon do that in college, and obviously had a terrible senior year with the Cowboys in Oklahoma State. That's why we got him in the 7th round.
Yeah, that was so weird.
That was a weird thing to see because he would have been the top back. He really could have been the top back in that draft.
But
class.
if he could have gone out a year early, he could have possibly been a 1st or 2nd round pick. It was
easy.
It was him. He was that guy.
He was him. And again, I think that with Ollie Gordon, I just feel bad for Jalen Wright because we talk about speed. Devon Achane obviously was drafted at Texas A&M for speed, and Jalen Wright was in that same category out of Tennessee, but it just has been bad for him in the system. But I like the 1-2 punch. I really do like the 1-2 punch. But
you know what it feels like? It feels like when I was a kid, first starting to watch the Dolphins, and my favorite player ever, my favorite number is 23 because of this player. It feels like the Ricky Williams, Ronnie Brown backfield a little bit.
Okay.
It's not the talent. It's not the talent, but it's sure Ricky's this bigger guy that can run over people, but he wanted to go side to side, and then Ronnie wanted the B gap and A gap and just go through you.
Exactly. Great answer. For a second, when you said 23, I thought you were going to say AJ for a second. No. I thought you were going to say AJ for a second. 2016 AJ was a monster too. But no, I mean, again, so potentially Patrick Paul, Pro Bowl, potential, well, really should be a top 3 back in the NFL currently, Devon Achane, Pro Bowl. I think we can all agree on that. Fantasy-wise too as well.
I think Minka deserves a shout because he's had tough points in the season, but he's been the most consistent performer on this team.
He has been consistent. We're talking about, excuse my language, the 2-point conversion stopped by Minka basically a yard away by the Buffalo Bills. Mm-hmm. Clutch tackles on 4th and goal, 4th down. And again, we talk about a lot of injuries. I mean, Brent's going to be gone for the whole year. This is honestly the time when you want to see guys in your secondary act up. We're finally seeing that happen. They're acting up now. Yeah. Him, Jack Jones, all these guys.
Because I'm guessing we're going to end pretty soon here. There's one thing I'd like to say about a player on the team. The glowing light, I think, in this team outside of Achane, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
I have some big issues, though. Because
you talked about this yesterday, too. Go on.
Yes. I wanted to save it for this because this is the football one.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle's proven he can be a wide receiver 1. Every Dolphins fan knew he could be a wide receiver 1 just off his rookie year. This year you're seeing, Tyreek Hill got hurt. Waddle's getting all the targets. He's getting the yards. He's gone under 80 yards once since he's gotten the wide receiver 1 share. I've seen this man nonstop drop the ball. Nonstop. He had two drops against the Commanders. He had a drop against the Bills. He had a drop against the Saints. This man, he is so talented, uber talented, but he doesn't know how to catch with his hands. Like it's so hard to. Like, I applaud anyone if you go watch a Jalen Waddle highlight tape. Every catch you're going to see is him corralling it into his upper abdomen and then turning. He doesn't catch anything out in front of him. He doesn't go for the ball. And it kills him because now he's trying to catch into his abdomen. He wants to turn and look, but that split second that it goes from here to here, he's already turning, so he loses it. If he just puts his hand, that's what made Tyreek Hill so great. Was Tyreek was small and so quick, but he went out for the ball, so he'd get it, and then he can already start looking. I think, in the future, this Dolphins team, right? If Mike McDaniel stays, I already wrote an article about who I think the coach should be going into next year. I think he would change a lot in Miami and he's basically he's the OC for the Rams. Not Matt LaFleur, Mike LaFleur. He's the Green Bay Packers brother. It's Jalen Waddle needs to learn how to not drop the ball, because when we talk about wide receiver ones on good teams, they don't drop the football. The man's a psychopath. Antonio Brown never dropped the football. Julio Jones, his first 2 years, had drop problems, never dropped the ball. The most underrated wide receiver in football history, Larry Fitzgerald, never dropped a football.
Yeah. And
never dropped it. It was a guarantee. If you saw the ball going to Larry Fitzgerald and there wasn't a guy putting him in a chokehold, he was catching the football. That's the issue I have right now. I want the Dolphins in this next year's draft. There's other things they have to fix other than wide receiver, but the next draft pick they make doesn't need to be a Malik Washington or like a who was the we drafted a receiver last year late.
Taj Washington. Not these Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle like type guys. Like, we need a 6'1" possession receiver that just catches the football. That's what Tua's missing, because remember early on in Tua's career when he had Mike Gesicki didn't drop a thing. His issue was he couldn't block. Blake, you know what you're describing though?
Yeah.
Braxton Berrios.
Kind of, but he has an injury. He got injured, didn't he? Or is he healthy?
Yeah, he did. You're talking about a Braxton Berrios, a River Craycraft.
Yeah.
Real reliable receivers there. Mm-hmm. And again, Darren Waller as well, because I could also see that the tight end position, which again, I do like Dulich though. I think Dulich, honestly, that's been a very underrated player.
He's been a great shot. He's been awesome.
Because the Julian Hill and the Tanner Connor stuff, what the hell was that?
Get him off.
What? I mean, again, they did say that they might bring back Connor later on sometime down the line, maybe practice squad. I know Mike McDaniel said that previously before. Yeah. And the tight end room, we could do a whole hour in the tight end room. You know how I feel about the Jonnu Smith stuff. How I feel.
I was recruited to college as a tight end. I am happy to speak tight ends. It's Julian. How do you get to the NFL and you look like a liability at the ball being thrown to you as someone that plays a position that you need to catch the ball? I grew up watching Ryan Tannehill, so seeing Tua throw picks is so disappointing. I mean, you're just kind of used to it because that's what Ryan Tannehill did.
Yeah, trust me, we haven't had an exciting offense since Jay Cutler. Okay, so 2023 Dolphins. Yeah,
Ryan Tannehill didn't have 1 year as an entertaining football team. The only entertaining year in my life I watched the Miami Dolphins outside of like a couple years ago when we were just spraying it all around was the year Chad Pennington had to retire because he snapped his collarbone and was like, all right, guys, I'm done now. And Matt Moore went in and led us to 8-8 because it was a wild card having him in.
Yeah, that was a disgusting. See, the quarterback question is always disgusting, though. But speaking of which, though, because this is going to be the last topic of the night, but before I even go into that, because we're going to end the Dolphin talk here, we do NFL now. I do want to talk about this quarterback, but let's go down quick speed down the line of Week 11. Thursday night, Pats on top of the Jets, 27-14. Patriots 9-2, obviously in the lead right now, the AFC and really the AFC East. Dolphins over Commanders, 16-13 in the morning of Sunday. Steelers over Bengals. Steelers having some issues. Aaron Rodgers with a wrist injury, not needing surgery, however, reported. So that is going on over there in Pittsburgh. Jaguars blowing out the Chargers. Jags really controlling their own fate right now in their own division. Bills over Buccaneers, 44-32. Bears on top of their own division. No one saw this one coming to open up the year. Bears winning it 19-17 on the road in Minnesota and Vikings
Shout
land.
out Caleb Williams.
Huge shout out Caleb Williams. 16-13 Texans on top of the Titans. Panthers on top of the Falcons. They sweep their division rival 30-27 in an overtime win Sunday. Packers over Giants. Jameis Winston with a chance to win the game on the line, and he throws an interception in the end zone. The most Jameis Winston ending to a game I've ever seen.
You gotta love him though, man.
You can't hate him. You can't hate him.
He's the best.
Rams win a close one. Matthew Stafford putting up a clinic against the Seattle Seahawks, 21-19. 49ers over the Cardinals. We expect that one to be a blowout. It was a blowout, 41-22. Ravens and Browns. Shador Sanders coming to the game. And again, if concussion protocol keeps Dylan Gabriel on the sideline,
he's projected to start already.
Sanders is predicted to start already. So we might see his first ever start in the NFL regular season. He got picked off coming into that game against the Ravens in that loss, 23-16. Eagles-Lions, boring game, 16-9. Yep. Eagles on top. Jalen Phillips keeps on doing good things on the road. And funny enough, the Dolphins and Jalen Phillips, both 2-0 since the trade. Cowboys over the Raiders. Cowboys, a lot of emotions in the locker room. Marshawn, they won it 33-16. Again, a reminder, they lost a player to suicide. Definitely look after your loved ones, look after your boys, and for all those cases, look after everybody in your family that's close to you. And yes, I do miss Jalen Phillips a little bit. He should have made those sacks against the Chargers.
I don't.
But the game I want to talk about in the quarterback, I think a lot of people have been talking about in the AFC specifically. Broncos, Chiefs, game-winning field goal. The Broncos winning it 22-19. Chiefs with a 50% chance to make the postseason this year. Now looking on the outside of the bubble of the wild card, Broncos on top of that division with Bo Nix leading the charge. And there's been a lot of people that say that, well, Bo Nix isn't all that. Bo Nix doesn't have the numbers. He's top 10 in a lot of things in the NFL, but people are like, look how he plays. He's not a top quarterback. His tight end for the Denver Broncos, Adam Trotman. So Dragon Slayer 69 with his 7-Eleven Slurpee in his mom's basement. I don't give a shit. Yes, I don't give a shit what he has to say, right? And Bo Nix doesn't either. That's what Adam said, the Broncos tight end, about the online criticism of Bo Nix. Blake, to end off the night, I'm curious, because this is kind of a two-way part question here. With Bo Nix leading this Broncos team, are they contenders in the AFC? And with that being said, you think Bo Nix is the right quarterback to lead a contender right now?
Yeah, because here's the thing is, you know who they remind me a lot of? They remind me a lot of the early Russell Wilson Seahawks, the Legion of Boom Seahawks.
Ooh, okay.
Because Bo Nix it's not what Drake May is right now, where Drake May's genuinely knocking me off my feet, where I'm going like, crap, he's the real deal. Like, he's actually really good. You know, we need to see I'll be honest with Drake May. I need to see a couple seasons before I'm really fully bought into it. But with Bo Nix, he doesn't turn the ball over. If you give him a pocket, he'll make the right read, as a lot of NFL quarterbacks do, because that's all you need to do is just give an NFL quarterback a clean pocket. They'll look decent. But the defense does their job, and all he has to do is just like, hey, let's not make any dumb decisions here. Let's not throw the ball deep on 2nd and 8 and try to go for the Hail Mary early. Like, no, if my first read isn't there, I take a quick look. I don't think my second read is there. I'll just dump it off. I'll throw it short. I'll make it quick. Like, that's what made Russell Wilson. That's why everyone loved him so early, was because Russell Wilson never made a mistake. Never. With that early Seahawks run. That's why the Malcolm Butler interception is the most legendary play in Super Bowl history.
Yeah, still can't believe it.
I still can't believe it to this day. I remember where I was watching it. It was so cool. But it was so weird because it was just like Russell Wilson. Of course, he had Marshawn Lynch, which made it more weird. But like, He didn't throw interceptions. I'm pretty sure that year that they lost to the Patriots in Super Bowl, he threw 3 interceptions all season, including playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't turn the ball over. It's just, do I think they're actual contenders? And you please tell me if you think it is too. Yes, because how that defense is good, and you have Pastor 10 on the outside, he takes away a whole side of the football field. Yeah. I watched this boy play in person. I call him a boy because guess what? He's my age. He's an absolute dog. I know, like, there was a big thing down here because he went to American Heritage High School. I went to high school just literally 3 minutes down the road at Western High School. It was like, yeah, but he's playing for his pops. Like, that's why he started so early. Then he goes away, and it's like, ooh, wait a minute, hold on a second, and then you start seeing the progression. If you could tell me, Blake, what's one defensive player you'd want in the league right now, it's Pat Surtain. I don't question it. Like, yeah. I think if you question that, there might be something wrong with you, because I think he's so clear the best corner in football. The only other person you can maybe argue to me is Myles Garrett, but he's been on such a bad team, it's hard to watch him so consistently. But
yeah, and again, that is another team that's like a top defense, but not enough offense to even be able to consider a conversation for a win week by week. But Blake, I definitely do have to agree, though. 9-2 Denver Broncos with Bo Nix is a contending team in the AFC. And I think by the end of the season, they really could go over the Colts, go over the Pats, and maybe we might even see some madness week 18 where, again, the Patriots having to play against Miami in the last week of the year.
Yep.
That might be an all-out battle just to see who gets that bye.
Can I ask you a question? Where would you rather not play in the playoffs? Because the two teams competing for the 1 seed basically are New England and the Broncos. I think the Colts will falter. I don't think the Colts are that good. I think it's a flash in the pan. You remember the Steelers in like 2018 that started like 10-0, and everyone was like, "How was this team 10-0?" And they finished like 11-6. We're like, "There it is. There's the Steelers we know." I'd be way more scared of the Patriots though, just because it's so cliche. They don't know they're not supposed to be there yet. But I think at the same time, like
it's Vrabel. It's a Vrabel-led off. It's a Vrabel-led team. The physicality is going to be there, and postseason physicality. We saw when Tennessee, who wanted to go against a Derrick Henry.
That 1 year where the Pats just got them. I mean,
barely.
So they beat the Pats. They lost to the Chiefs. Sorry, they beat that Pats team and they lost to the Chiefs. But they were beating the Chiefs even.
Yeah. But in general, though, the teams were having a hard time the entire year against them. A Vrabel team, it's and again, as a Dolphin fan, it makes me kind of sick to even think about it, because I was talking about, let's see the Pats even get more than 5 wins this year. I do not want to play in Foxborough in the postseason.
You don't. It's a terrible place to go.
It's a terrible place to go. I don't want to be playing over there in the postseason. And I think if they get a first round, guys are healthy, you don't have any upsets, which, again, we'll never know what happens, because maybe, let's say hypothetically, the Pats fail to get the first seed, Baltimore somehow sneaks in, and you have to go against Lamar Jackson in the AFC wild card. So
Dolphins fan, I'm pulling up. Sorry to cut you off, Brandon, because you can keep going. I just want him to know. Yeah. He said the Pats have only beaten 1 good team. So I'm pulling up their schedule because I want to double check that, because they beaten the Bills now, and I call the Bills
on the
really
road in
good
Buffalo.
Team. Yeah. So they lost to Vegas week 1. Since then, they beat the Dolphins, lose to the Steelers, beat Carolina, beat the Bills. They beat the Bills twice. Beat New Orleans. Beat Tennessee. They beat Cleveland. They beat Atlanta. They beat Tampa. Good team. Beat the Jets. And then they have they beat the Bills 1. Sorry. So he's kind of on track. They only have 2 good wins against teams this year. So he's kind of on track. So I get the take.
2 good wins.
I get that take, but
dangerous.
I was trying to
still dangerous.
It's dangerous. Definitely. Brandon, what I was trying to do was find you the stat. I don't know why I can't find it now. It was comparing the first 27 starts between Caleb Williams and Josh Allen. And it's
is this a Bears take?
not a Bears take. It's more of a maybe a Caleb Williams take.
Oh God!
It
All
was
right.
Josh Allen and Caleb Williams total touchdowns and just interceptions, not total turnovers, because that'd be even more for Josh Allen, especially through the first 27, 28 starts. It was Josh Allen had 30 total touchdowns and 21 interceptions. He averaged like 237 passing yards per game and had a QBR of like 68 on a scale of 0 to 100, like 50 being average. 50 basically meaning you didn't play the game.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams is averaging 252 yards per game. He has 31 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. And as a QBR, I believe the stat was 78. So is that a good reflection on Caleb, or is that a good reflection on Ben Johnson? Because if they're leading their division in a tough division, you have to bring it up. Because
I think when you look at this current Bears team and the crazy thing, because again, I'm not a Chicago fan. I've never been to the state or the city or whatever.
It sucks.
I'm telling you right now, every single win they've had this year has been within a game-winning field goal or within a possession. Like, it's insane. Like, I feel like this is a real Bears team where fans are like, we're not losing close games anymore. We're not like there's no real issue down the line in crunch time. I think that's what really making this team good, and that's more of a Ben Johnson thing than a Caleb Williams team. Because Caleb's a good athlete, don't get me wrong. But what is he, in his second, third year right now?
His second year.
Second year. We're really seeing a second-year quarterback is the main difference. And again, it could be. There's talent like that in the NFL.
Hey, Mahomes did it.
Mahomes did it. Mahomes, well, yeah, second, third year, and then again, you can also
second year. Like listen to his stats this year. This is Caleb this year. The completion percentage is still a question. I think in Chicago, I kind of give I don't look too much in completion percentage because it's Chicago. It's impossible to throw a football there. Yeah. But he's throwing 60%. He has 2,300 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, 4 picks. He has 3 rushing touchdowns in his run for 275 yards. So he's at 20. He's at basically 2,600 total yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's giving you a 4-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio. He's keeping the ball secure, and we know the Bears have a good defense. They haven't lost that over the last couple of years. And I think Ben Johnson is the real question is it going to be this like Brian Daboll thing where Brian Daboll came in and in the first year it was, he figured out a little something on offense. Teams figured it out. They figured it out.
I doubt it.
Because I think Ben Johnson's a real deal. He was calling plays in Detroit. He was calling plays in Detroit.
Look at Detroit now.
Look at him. I mean,
they're struggling offensively.
Everyone sees Jared Goff for who he really is, a bum.
Well, he went to a Super Bowl before. Okay, he went to a Super Bowl.
Hey, time out. How good when you have Aaron Donald and Eric Weddle and Sean McVay? Yeah, you're gonna compete.
Yeah, but again, and you know what's crazy about
I'm not gonna lie, Jared Goff. I just pulled up his stats. He's playing. His stats are amazing, but the team has been mediocre.
Yeah, the team's been kind of mid. It's been kind of mid. But again, Jared Goff, part of one of the best offensive games of all time. Former Super Bowl appeared in a Super Bowl, whatever. Mm-hmm. Great stats, winning records there. So Jared Goff slander would not be tolerated.
I don't know. It sounds like you're making a case for Nick Foles to be in the league still. Sounds like that. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo should still be in the league. All right.
He is. He's Matthew Stafford's backup. Are you a QB wins guy, Brandon?
I am a big QB wins guy. If you're trying to tell me that Jimmy Garoppolo has made it to multiple deep stretches in the playoffs, and
I refuse to look you in the eyes now because of that.
Dude, Jimmy G lives on, man. Jimmy G lives on, dude. I put him
Brock Purdy's doing better than him, and Brock Purdy's tragically terrible.
No, don't say that. Jimmy G, that face can never do
anything. Sam Darnold was doing better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's having a good year. He's having a good year.
He had a 3-to-1 touchdown to turnover ratio.
I'm not gonna leave the ship. The ship is sinking, and I'm gonna keep my stock.
It's not sinking. It's deeper than the Titanic. Like, it's gone.
It's been gone for years.
Let me live with my Jimmy Garoppolo dysphoria, dude.
Just because the guy looks like George Clooney doesn't mean
he's going to come back, dude. The Dolphins are going to sign him as a backup. Tua's going to get hurt, and Jimmy G's going to be wearing the cool retro 1984 Aqua jerseys. I'm just saying.
What just happened? What just happened? Why did I just hear Jimmy Garoppolo is going to sign for the Dolphins? He's going to start. He's going to wear the retro jersey and look like Dan Marino. What just happened?
That should have been the case for Justin Herbert, but I'll take Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah,
I'll take Jimmy Garoppolo in a Dolphin jersey.
No,
so
I wouldn't take the back end of that, but I'll take Justin Herbert.
Okay.
Actually, maybe not. Justin Herbert hasn't looked great. So
yeah, again blown out by the Jaguars. So not looking too good for Harbaugh and those guys in Los Angeles. But that is going to do it for our podcast here tonight, though. We appreciate you guys joining in on Sideline again. Started a little bit later than usual today. Usually 8:30 is our time on Tuesdays. And again, before we even go, Blake, because again, you got your own podcast.
Yeah, we got One-Timers. It's our NHL podcast every Sunday. We have this Sunday, we're doing our Superstar Pyramid. I have to still think of a better name for it, but we'll get there. Time comes. There's going to be some changes that have to come to it. Some due to injury, some due to someone's leading the NHL in points by 10. And we gotta go over the stories of the week. We talk about what's happening. Do we really think these teams are that good? Do we really think like Anaheim's first in the Pacific Division?
Which I don't think anybody thought. Yeah.
Bullshit. Like, well, it's gonna end. Don't worry. Leo Carlson's not gonna win the Hart. It's fine. Like no, but it's a fun time. It's a 30-40 minute pod. It's a good time.
Really great time. So again, tune into that other podcast throughout the entire week. Of course, next time you come and see Sideline, we'll have another college football poll by the committee on that Tuesday. Dolphins on a bye week. We might talk about other things in the NFL. Obviously, Champ Kelly, some news. We got some GM news hopefully coming within the next few weeks. That might be realized later on, sooner than later, according to reports. But besides that, that's going to do everything for tonight. We appreciate you guys. See you guys next Tuesday.
Yeah, here. I'll put up the